Classic FM 97.3. Good oldies, great times.
Right, you're welcome to, this is the first anniversary of the Discourse we're having. We've had, it's been a year now, we've had 52 editions, and it all started like a dream. My good brother Tola Kikubu kept on pushing me, telling me to do something better with my life than being a car dealer, after having spent 30 years in journalism. So I said, okay, fine. And lo and behold, he now pushed me over to his friend who they drank Gary together in FGGC, Mr. Chris Bossi. And Chris doesn't remember this. As soon as I told him, I said, hi. He said, yeah. I said, look, I have this idea. I have this program that I want to do. It's called The Discourse. You know, we'll be discussing national issues and so on. I said, that's a very good idea. So he opened up his bag. I thought he was bringing out a check. He brought out a tape recorder. So he said, when are you starting? And that is how we ended up here. But today, it's not, most of you know that I'm not a man of too much formality, you know. I just wanted you to come and see what happens in the studio when I'm almost close to fisticuffs with my guests. So I'd like to welcome you, and like I said, it's not much of a formal event. This program now for 1 year, we've trudged on without a single sponsor, you know, and it is the spirit that has kept this program on. And I'd like to thank Chris Ubasi himself for, you know, having been a partner in this, because we haven't even gotten any support at all. So Chris, thank you very much. And please come up and come and say something. Come and welcome us. Yes. He's the MD of Classic FM.
Trust Jimi Disu to ask me to do a welcome address in the most unorthodox way. Our special guest, ladies and gentlemen, all protocol observed. Today marks a very special occasion for the Classic FM and the entire Electrics family. We also have the Beat FM and Nigeria FM. One cannot help but reflect with pride on how far we've come as a radio station. An occasion like this, where we celebrate 1 year of the Discourse with Jimi Disu, presents us with the right opportunity to take stock of our accomplishments as well as our shortcomings. I like to think we have more accomplishments than shortcomings to celebrate within this invisible art of ours. I say this against the backdrop of the targets which we had set for ourselves at the founding of 97.3 Classic FM. At our inception, we aim to satisfy I always like to say, the psychographics, not demographics, of 35 and over, by developing programs that cater to the needs and interests of this age group. At the time, that seemed a very ambitious dream, given the tendency to assume that only the younger generation could be captured by radio, and that goes as far as bankers and even my wife. Everybody thought, you know, what's going on with you? But our successes over the years, however, as illustrated by the Discourse with Jimi Disu, amongst other programs that I think are demographic, like convinced me that we have achieved that dream. I look around me today and I see very highly distinguished listeners and members of the audience, and I thank you all for being here. I tune into the airwaves and hear the consciousness of our presenters and the invaluable contributions of our listeners. I know we have indeed come a long way towards achieving our goals, and I feel so honored by your presence and humbled by your willingness to celebrate this year with us. For a radio show is only as relevant as its followership. Also for your support, for your listening ears, and for your analytical minds, for your criticisms as well. I'd like to thank you all for being here. I'd like to thank the MD of Arabella, the MD of Colors in Africa for their invaluable support. I mean, they are responsible for quite a bit of what we see here. I'd like to thank General Akenyade, who doesn't remember me from my days in Ife when we used to come to his place at Ikpetimodu. Because I think we used to get crash actually. I want to thank you for being here, sir. I want to thank you for all your contributions. And I can't leave without saying thank you to the wonderful staff of Classic FM. They're the reason why we are where we are today. And last but certainly not the least, I'd like to thank the engineers, Jimi Disu, for coming up with this idea. And here we are. Enjoy your day.
Okay, now down to business. The gentleman on the hot seat needs no introduction. The elder statesman, I'd rather say, if you excuse my bad manners in saying the gentleman, as an elder statesman. He was the chief of army staff and chief of defense staff, right? Right, sir. During the Shagari regime, he fought in the Nigerian Civil War. He put his blood on the line to put Nigeria together. He was also one of the strong, very, very strong backbones, as it were, and strategists of the June 12 struggle. Well, that was 20 years ago, when we had this June 12 crisis that still hasn't gone away. But that's a story for during the interview. I'd like you to put your hands together for Lieutenant General Akenyade. So, this is how it goes in the studio. Just watch. And I have in the studio with me a one-time chief of army staff, an elder statesman, and a brain behind the DECO during the June 12 struggle. Lieutenant General Akenyade. Sir, you're welcome to the program.
Thank you very much.
Yes. Now, before we go on, I think I have the authority of everybody here to thank you for having put your life on the line to save this country. It's not many people that can do that, and we believe that if the country hasn't thanked you enough, we're quite grateful for your contribution to this country, sir.
Thank you very much. But when you join the army,
that's not a gun, sir. Yes, I was listening.
When you join the armed forces,
yes,
you know that all you have signed up for is your life and your country.
Yes.
So really, it's just doing a job. That's what it is.
Yes, but it's not an easy job to do.
There's no job that is easy.
Let me ask you, sir, when you want to go to battle, what goes through your mind? What are the kinds of things that goes through your mind? Look, tomorrow I'm going to war front. What goes through your mind? I know a bullet could hit you.
Surprisingly, soldiers, officers try to think that you are going to go through it, you are going to come back, and then you are going to fight another day. The thought of getting killed or getting shot or whatever it is, it doesn't aim in your mind.
It doesn't. Does it have to do with this thing we hear that they give soldiers one special injection? Does it have anything to do with this?
There are no injections that soldiers take. It is not available on the market. What they usually talk about is TAB, which is very painful injection, but it's against tuberculosis. And it's also common in our country here, but it's common everywhere.
Because when we were young, our parents would sometimes say, Mama, but do you think the Civil War was worth it? Was it worth keeping Nigeria together, from your own thinking?
Yes, it is worth keeping Nigeria together. Whether we use the opportunities that we have over the years wisely, I think that is an issue for debate. But I think if there's some form of mileage to be taken from a large country of diverse people, diverse ecological situations. I think there's a lot of keeping Nigeria as it is.
But sir, you know, we have a lot of ethnic conflicts, as it were, on the pages of newspaper. Meanwhile, the Nigerian army as a unit is made up of all these ethnic nationalities. Do you think that all these conflicts will have any effect, you know, on operations within the military, where, you know, for example, you're supposed to like be fighting side by side against the other person?
Well, in the situation where you are talking about, say, the emergency that we have at present,
Yes.
where it is an internal squabble,
Yes.
and it's only the part of the country, and the rest of us have to go there and start fighting. Certainly, people must have a lot of some form of thoughts about people who are present there, who live there, you kind of, you know, we're talking now about tribes, ethnicity, language thing that live within that area. And it must cross a line that these are human beings, fellow countrymen, and it is a difficult situation for soldiers to live with.
Yeah.
It is difficult, but it's their job. The president writes an order and asks me that their rules of engagement, they don't always work. And there are missions to be carried out. There are all sorts of things which are given to you to accomplish in the area. You do that as a soldier because that is the only way the military works. But that the feeling, you have to find a way of containing that as much as you can. The case of the Civil War was a bit different. As you know, it was confined also to a part of the country. And having declared that you wanted to secede, you have opened yourself up to the possibilities of the Civil War. So that was a bit understandable. But even then, there were a lot of feelings on the behalf of soldiers, on the part of soldiers, because the people we are fighting are not strangers to us.
Yes.
A lot of the officers, we lived in the mess together, we went to school together, we lived together.
And you had to fight against them.
You had to fight them. But that is what the times dictated, and that is why there was a Civil War.
Yeah. But you know, recently, sir, in this insurrection we have in the north, the chief of army staff, you know, said that you know he discovered that there were moles in the army, that there were some members of his some soldiers who were feeding the terrorists with information. Did that happen during your time? And what kind of signal does that? What does it tell you? Is it worrying you?
Well, it is not unusual in the kind of situation we define ourselves now.
Okay.
The reason being that in the army today, or the armed forces, there are people from the northeast, from all those states which are under the emergency.
Yes.
And we cannot write off. Their mothers been there, their uncles and fathers been there. Feelings within the armed forces which are not very good for you when you are going to war, stuff like that. In the case of the Civil War, I mean, it was just the Easterners on one side and the rest of us on the other. There are one Easterners in the army.
But they had all virtually
on the other
left.
side, there were no people from outside the East in there. If you were there, nobody is going to trust you anyway. So that is what.
Classic FM 97.3. Good oldies, great time.